Welcome back to 13C. Today, the KS47 from Palmetto State Armory. We've got our first, literally our very first magazine is going to go through this. We took the upper and lower out of the boxes, slapped them on one on top of the other one. That's all we've done. So let's see how she runs out of the box. Haven't put any oil on it, anything else. Here's our first 20. So far, so good, flawless. Welcome back to 13C. On deck today, the KS47 from Palmetto State Armory. If you're digging the new apparel, go ahead and drop a like down below. We teamed up with 1776 United. We've got two different versions of this shirt that are going to be carrying on their website. It'll come in all the various sizes. I believe right now the only color choice is probably going to be black. We'll see as those update as they go forward. For having the logo print and everything else, it's probably going to look better in the black format anyway. If we get some requests from other colors, definitely drop those down below. Send us a message on social media. We'll check those out. And if you haven't already, drop a subscribe. We'll have some links down below for the apparel, as well as a subscriber discount code so you can knock some money off there if you're a subscriber here at 13C. Don't forget to drop a subscription, hit that notification bell for upcoming videos. For example, we've got this Nikon P Tactical Super Dot on here. It's a red dot from Nikon, and we're going to be running that through its paces. We're starting it out here on this KS47. May wind up staying on here in the long term, but as we're starting to use this and get it broken in, it's been with us about 2 weeks now. This is where it's wound up, and I think it probably makes a pretty decent host and dot on here for this KS47. This is in a mostly low profile mount right here. So you've got different mount heights. You can drop it lower and you can have co-witness height. There's a couple different options. I've got it at this height because as a pistol, it feels like this should be down low rather than up high where you would put standard on, a standard type of AR, let's say, where you have that standard AR height. Seems to do pretty well down here. We're going to continue fleshing that out if it's going to stay. In any event, let's talk a little bit more about this. This is the pistol version of the KS47. It's got a brace on the end here, stabilizing brace, not a stock. This is the SBA 3. We've talked a lot about this brace in the past on a couple other different rifles. We had a standalone video on some different braces. If you go back and check that out, it's probably a month or two old, and you can learn some more about this brace. We won't rehash all that here today. Let's go ahead and start at the end, at the end, or maybe front of the pistol as it is. A2 style flash hider on the end here. The barrel is 5/8 by 24 threaded, so you can put any various muzzle devices on the end here if you're so inclined. It's a 10.5 inch barrel with a 1 in 10 twist. It is 7.62 by 39 is the caliber, and you've got a low profile gas block in here. It's carbine length gas block, gas system in here. 4150 steel nitride finished, and M-lock handguard here from PSA that is free floated. So you've got M-lock on all the sides, including 2 sections on the top here, and then you've got the pick on the front and back of it if you want to mount some other sights on there, as well as your QD points on the front and rear of this rail, which is nice if you want to use that for a sling and not put a separate attachment point up here. You can do that. Moving back to the receiver, we've got 7075 T6 forged aluminum upper, and your bolt is going to be a semi-auto profile, and the bolt itself is 9310 bolt steel. We'll put a picture up here so you can check out the profile of the front of the bolt there and where it interfaces with the casing, because I know we had a bunch of questions about that. Hopefully that will answer that question for you. And the lower is going to be the KS47 type that's designed to take AK-47 style magazines. We had a bunch of questions here on the magazine release. This is a steel, or at least metal, magazine release. It is a ferrous type of metal. I'm assuming it's steel because it does attract a magnet, so it's definitely not aluminum. It seems to be holding up pretty well. This is a Pmag AK-47 mag right here. We've also ran some East German magazines in here, as well as some Chinese, those are military surplus style magazines. So the general rule of thumb for a lower like this that takes AK style magazines is that, and this one has not been an exception to that rule, if the magazine fits in it, it'll run. If the magazine does not fit in the magazine, well, then it will not run. Pretty self-explanatory on the last part there. Reasoning for that is there's a lot of different tolerances in AK-47 magazine wells, depending on country of origin, who produced it, etc., etc. and the magazines, as they're produced from dozens of different countries, don't necessarily always interface well with US, especially US made lowers in an AR style like this, because they're cut to more exacting tolerances. So for example, you've got this Pmag in here that locks up nice and tight. There's no play, there's no slop. If I were to take this magazine out and put it in, let's say, that wasser that I have, you know, this Pmag is going to move around and be just a little bit sloppy in there. Of course, that wasser will take any magazine you throw in it, so keep that in mind. Also, on the lower here, this one came with their EPT, or enhanced polished trigger, in it, and the EPT is their, I guess, a step above their standard, you know, just kind of mil-spec trigger. The trigger itself, for the EPT, and I have an EPT in one of our other rifles. I don't remember which one it's in at the moment. The EPT is definitely a step up and a decent trigger, especially for its price point. Obviously, you're not looking at a Geisley or, you know, like ALG Defense type of trigger here, but I am pretty happy with the EPT and where it's at. And especially for this application, I don't really see any need to change the trigger out here and upgrade the trigger from that EPT. I think it fits fairly well in here and does a pretty good job. So for a 10.5-inch pistol like this, generally speaking, most people aren't going to be buying it for accuracy. For me, this is going to be one of those guns where you know, I'm shooting pretty much steel for the most part, you know, between 50 and, you know, about 150-ish yards. So for me, what we've got here with this, with our red dot, is going to be pretty much all that I'm looking for. If you're looking for something with a higher standard, maybe sometime in the future we can, you know, get some match 7.62x3.9 and see just what this thing will print with that. But for where we're at now, I'm pretty good with it. I was planning on getting this video edited Saturday night. I had to call it early. Went to church Sunday morning. On my drive home from church Sunday morning, I was talking to a buddy about the KS47. We were talking about accuracy, some different stuff. He loves 7.62x3.9, and he was asking about the accuracy. And I told him, you know, generally speaking, we're getting about 2.5 inches from 5-round groupings, maybe a little bit more, maybe 3 inches depending. We got some a little closer to 2 inches, but those are on the outliner, and that's 5 rounds. So anyway, our conversation wound up turning to how it would do with better ammo. I said all I've got is just, you know, Wolf and Red Army Standard, and out of the two, Red Army Standard seems to group a little better out of most of the guns I've shot it out of. It's still dirty rounds. I mean, you know, it is what it is, right? It's cheap surplus, or not cheap surplus, but cheap Russian steel case, you know, type stuff. So anyway, he told me swing by his place, pick up some Federal Fusion, and I did. So we wound up shooting 10 rounds, 2 5-round groupings of the Federal Fusion 7.62x3.9, and this was the better of the two groupings. I don't like to necessarily cherry pick, but check that out. That is fantastic, especially coming out of, you know, a pistol type of deal like this. Oh God, now I screwed up my white balance by holding up that white sheet. Anyway, we're going to call it there, but here, this is this right-on here. You guys have seen this in another video. I'll put a link down to that video below if you're interested in it. With their QD mount, this thing is, it looks ridiculous on here. Yeah, I know. But that's fine because we're doing it for science. Anyway, we'll get back to the rest of the video now, but I thought that was interesting. I wanted to throw that in there because I know people have asked, well, what about if you actually want to shoot better ammo out of it than, you know, your Red Army Standard or, you know, Wolf, Tula, whatever. So there you go. Now you know. So before we lose our last light out here tonight, let's wrap up with some final thoughts. So one thing I wanted to point out was magazine-wise, we'll put some footage in if we haven't already. Earlier, we did run a few more different mil-cert magazines. One of them we had some issues with. Now I know that one earlier in the week, or you know, a couple weeks ago, was running fine in one of my wassers because doing some work with one of the wassers for something not to do with this. So that magazine was running fine in that. This gun didn't like it for some reason, unless something just recently happened to it. And that mag on that spring on that mag is probably, you know, I have no idea, 10, 20 years old, who knows. It's older, but I thought I'd mention it because earlier I said if it fits, it'll run, and I proved that wrong today. So that mag was just, it was what it was. So as far as the Pmags though, they lock up nice and tight. I haven't had any issues running Pmags with these. We're talking about unsuppressed and the gas setting properly. Getting into the suppressed thing, I think we touched on that very briefly earlier. If you're going to run the suppressed, you have to change out the front gas block. You're going to have to close that gas way down, almost off, to get this thing to run properly suppressed. It will, once you get it dialed in, it's going to run fine suppressed, but the thing is, once you take the can off, you're going to have to adjust your gas again if you're going to want to run this unsuppressed. And gun runner's just off camera. He caught a piece of hot brass. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. Anyway,
I'm okay.
She ran those just fine.
.20 no problem. And a PSA about the PSA, if you're left-handed, watch out, you're gonna get some spray back. Otherwise, she ran great with the can.
We'll see about the front gas block here. Maybe we can come up with something different for that, something clickable and adjustable where you can just throw something in there, just click, 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 and you're good, and then click, 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 and you're back to where you were. We'll see. Enhanced polished trigger, still going good in this for a I don't know if I want to call it a budget trigger, but for a inexpensive trigger that's not mil spec, I'm pretty happy where this one comes in its price point line when these things go on sale. So you know, them including that in here is especially in this pistol model, I really don't have any plans to change or upgrade the trigger in this for what we have here. I think it's probably pretty good to go out of the box as it comes. I'm happy enough with it. You're going to see this again when we do the video on the Nikon, this P-Tactical Super Dot. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. If you're digging the new apparel, check those out too. This video is going to be at least 3 or 4 weeks down the road. We've only got 200-300 rounds through it, whatever that is, because this hasn't been on here this long. Before we were running some iron sights and doing some other stuff with it. So we've got to prove this optic out here and get some more use through it before we do that. So it's going to be a little ways down the road. Look for that. Speaking of the apparel, 7613C will get you 15% off at 1776 United. We'll put some links down below, and that will also take off most everything on their site. You'll get a discount as well. So shout out to them for extending that discount to our subscribers, mostly across the board on their site. We appreciate that. And facebook.com/gun reviews. Great way to see some of our social media content if you want to see some more behind the scenes stuff. We are on Instagram. We're at 13C Gun Reviews over on Instagram. We also have a secondary Instagram account we have created, 13C Media, which is probably going to wind up focusing a little bit more on the political activism side. We're still going to have that on our other channels and keep you guys updated on important things as they happen politically, but we'll probably get a little more commentary and stuff like that over on 13C Media. We're doing the same thing on YouTube. We have 13C Media as well. Put the links down below to that, so we'd appreciate it if you follow us over there. We just got another hit from Instagram, and they've given us 30 days for, I don't know, it's ridiculous what's just popped up here, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out moving forward. As far as YouTube continuing to crack down, we haven't done anything that's violated any of their policies. But yet, then here we are again getting hit and slapped on the wrist, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, along with some of the new Google terms, just for even having anything on Google that's like what we do here. Just firearms education, talking to you guys, having fun, and making videos. Pretty much the whole family can watch. So thanks again, everybody. We appreciate it, and check us out on those things. And stay safe. And, I don't know. We'll talk to you later. It's getting late. My allergies are killing me. See ya.